Today we're going to start talking about your research paper. Your research paper covers 3 lessons, 5, 10, and 15. This is the beginning, the picking a topic, evaluating your sources, creating your initial MLA works cited page. We're also going to include the intake citations with this just so that you're introduced to it and you know how to do it. We're talking about taking notes, and then the 2 sources that you absolutely need to have for this paper, which are a primary source and a South Carolina discus source. So that's what we're going to cover in this lesson for lesson 5. We're really looking at research. So the first thing you need to do is you need to pick a topic. Okay, a topic can be anything, but for this particular paper, we want it to be sort of argumentative. We want it to have a side, because for this paper, you're going to back up a point of view. You're going to argue your point with facts that you have researched. This is not an opinion paper, it's a research paper. So I've given you a excellent resource, www.procon.org. If you go to this website, you will find tons of topics, everything from medical marijuana to legalizing marijuana, gun laws, education, all sorts of different topics. So you pick a topic. Once you've picked a topic, it's going to show you pros, people who are in favor of this. So let's say sanctuary cities. I've picked my topic to be sanctuary cities. You're going to pick one side. Are you going to be pro-sanctuary cities or against sanctuary cities? Are you going to be pro-gun laws or against gun laws? So in this case, I picked that I'm going to be arguing that sanctuary cities are illegal, so I am against, or I'm on the con side. Pro.com divides everything out and it lists the arguments, okay? So you can see what are the arguments against sanctuary cities. Well, A, sanctuary cities harbor criminals, creating a dangerous environment for U.S. citizens. So that's argument 1. So your job in this paper, if you chose sanctuary cities, would be to find facts, to find the information that support sanctuary cities harbor criminals. You can't just say that, right? You can't just say, sanctuary cities harbor criminals, bad people do things, blah, 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 blah. No, you have to, your job in this paper is to research and find the facts to support that statement, to support that belief. So you've got 3, for sanctuary cities, I picked out 3 arguments against sanctuary cities. And then I would start doing my research to support and find the facts for each one of these things, because when you write your paper, it's going to be a 3-paragraph paper. Back up, it's going to be a 5-paragraph paper. It's going to have an introduction and then 3 paragraphs supporting your argument, and then a conclusion. So you want to have 3 reasons supported by facts, supported by research. That's going to be the tricky part. When you go to pro.com, I don't want your paper to just be looking at their arguments and then taking their facts and rewriting it. That's just to help you understand that these are the most popular arguments. You then are going to leave pro.com at procon.org, and you're going to find your own research. Please do not cite procon.org as a source, okay? It's to help you find your arguments. It's not for them to write the paper for you. You can look at their sources. If you scroll through and you say, okay, well, they've got some great sources, you can go to that source, you can read that information and then use it in your paper. But it's not for you to just read their arguments and then summarize them. That's not the goal of this paper. All right, so after you have picked your topic and found what the 3 things that you're going to be arguing, you're going to start looking at sources. So you're going to start using the internet, typing in sanctuary cities, trying to find all the information you can about it. But it's the internet. Not all sources are equal. You could have some nut job out there and he can create a personal web page and write all this information and have it all came out of his head. I can write a web page, right? Like I could be like, oh, you know what? against sanctuary cities. They're just terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I get out there and I write a webpage. And then you go and you cite me. Well, I'm not an authority. I live in South Carolina. I don't even live, like, you're a border town, or I don't really have any relevance or credibility to me to make these statements. So not all sources are equal on the internet, and you have to be very critical of who am I reading? How do they actually have the ability to be an authority on this subject? There is a method that we use. It's called the CRAAP method, CRAAP, standing for current. Is the information current? Is it relevant? Is the person an authority? Do they have the credentials? Do they have involvement? Is it accurate? Are there other websites that support this information? And what is the purpose? Is it some group that's trying to persuade somebody so they're only presenting one side of the information? So be very careful when you're looking at controversial issues that you might be reading something that is written from a point of view to persuade you one way. So after you've done your evaluation, you're like, okay, this is written by the New York Times, a credible news organization. They back up their sources with research. I can trust this source. You need to write me a sentence telling me why. Why is this a reliable source? Explain to me how you came to that conclusion and you believe that this is a good source and not some nut job you found on the internet. Okay? So each source that you find needs to be evaluated. You need to have that statement of this is a website written by the government. It provides years of research and facts. It's backed up by other websites, things like that. So then you're going to create your MLA citation. Your MLA citation is going to go on your works cited page, which will be the last page of your paper, and it tells me exactly how to find your sources. And it goes in a specific format, it goes in that MLA citation format. The three easiest places, the easiest way to do it is to let the internet help you. People like different websites that create your MLA citations. My favorites are EasyBib or Citation Machine. Basically, you go to this website, you copy and paste your website into it. It generates the citation for you. So if I went to a website on sanctuary cities written by the New York Times, this is what my MLA citation would look like. His last name is first. So you've got Lee, Jasmine, and then it lists the name of the article, the name of the organization, includes the day that it was published, and then it has the full link so that I can click on it and pull up the article. Okay, if I cannot access your information, if I can't find your information to prove it's in the paper, you're going to get points taken off. Okay, I have to be able to find your source, and this is how you do that. Now, in your paper, you're going to have to link the information in the paper to your works cited page. So when I'm reading and you say, according to the New York Times, quote, you then put what's called an in-text citation, and that's what this bottom piece is, where it says Lee, parentheses, Lee, Omri, and Preston 2016, end parentheses. That's your in-text citation. It goes in the paper. So I'm reading it, and I'm reading about sanctuary cities, and then it comes to, according to the New York Times, quote, and then you copy and paste your quote. You put at the end of the quote, you put your in-text citations. It says Lee Omri. So then I can read Lee. I go down to your works cited. I find your works cited citation. I click on your link, and then I can read. Okay, he got this quote from this article. Okay? So it's a way to prove where that quote came from in the paper. I have to be able to go from the paper to the works cited page, from the works cited page to the article. That's the method. Okay? So when you do this lesson, I want your works cited page, the MLA citation that you're giving me, to also include the in-text citation, what that's going to look like, because it's easier to do that now. Because when you use these websites, you put in it'll generate your citation, and it'll also, you can click, it'll say in-text citation. You click that button, and it shows you what that would look like. So it's just easier to do it all at one time using these websites. So notes, you're going to take notes on every source. You're going to read this New York Times article and you're going to say, okay, this is great. This is what I need for my article on sanctuary cities. Your notes are going to be detailed. They're going to summarize the entire article so that when you go back through, you're like, okay, this is what this article was about, and anything that I use from this is going to be on this subject. So you're going to state, this is what I'm going to use from this article. So from this article, I can give an overview of what a sanctuary city is. It gives maps of where they are located. Now, if I find a quote that I'm like, okay, this is going to be a great quote, I know I can use this somewhere in my paper. So I copy and I paste that, and that can go in your notes. Because you have to keep your quotes and your information with the correct source. You don't want it all to get jumbled up and be confused. So your research is going to include a primary source. A primary source is not the main source that you use from paper. No, that's not what a primary source means. Primary meaning firsthand, closest to the subject. It's not written by someone else. So it can be something like an eyewitness account. Somebody says, yeah, I was in a sanctuary city and this is what happened to me. Their words, what they experienced. Not somebody being like, according to this blah, 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 she was in a sanctuary city and she said this and she said no. It's, I was there, I did it. Eyewitness accounts, an interview. You can do an interview. Some people have found interviews on YouTube. Photographs. Let's say you can't really find something, you're like, I don't really like these primary sources, but there's a picture of an immigrant crossing the border or a picture of a woman carrying a child, and you feel like that's very impactful. Well, you can't get any more firsthand than a photograph. Okay, that's not someone, unless it's altered or digitalized or something like that, but like an unaltered photograph is considered a primary source. Statistics are kind of tricky. There are research groups that do statistics for how many sanctuary cities are there in the U.S., how many immigrants are there. If you can find a website that just lists the statistics and does not comment on them and is not writing about them. So for example, my New York Times article has an image of a map and it has statistics in the article. That's not a primary source because the New York Times are using that information. That information is primary. So I would have to go and find out, where did they get that information? Where did they get those statistics? A diary, right? Somebody's handwritten diary. Like if you're researching and writing about the Holocaust, diaries are primary. You must have a primary source. Okay, South Carolina Discus. I want you to get used to using scholarly sources versus websites. So I do want you to use a database that we have access to, which is South Carolina Discus. All of these are reliable sources. So you need to go to the website provided. The username and password for this year is Discus19. The password is study. You go to the website. There's different options and ways to search. I suggest using Smart Search. It's one of the options. You click on that, it'll pull up a search bar. Start your search. So you type in sanctuary cities, enter. It's going to then prompt you to enter your username and password. It will pull up tons of articles. On the left-hand side, it will list criteria. Click academic journals. We want academic journals. They're peer-reviewed. We know the information is accurate. I want you to get used to looking at those and what they represent versus just a bunch of websites. Okay, and then you make a citation. Now on the right hand side, it'll list and it'll say cite this article. You can click that. Sometimes it will give you an MLA citation that you can just copy and paste, and it'll give you your index citation you can copy and paste. Other times it may not. It may just provide you with different, like APA or I saw like a Brazilian citation, how you cite in Brazil once. So make sure that you're giving me the MLA citation. If it does not, you're going to have to go through, get the author's last name, get all that information, and use the EasyBib or in-text citation websites, you'll have to enter that information manually, hit generate, and then let the websites generate it for you. All right, so those are the things that you need to do to start your research. This is for your starting your research paper. You pick a topic, you pick your arguments, then you evaluate your sources. Why do these sources belong in a research paper? You're going to create the MLA citation for every source you use, including the in-text citations. You're going to provide the notes. They need to be detailed and include quotes pulled out. 2 of your sources must be primary and South Carolina discus source. So 1 primary, 1 South Carolina discus, and 2 others, because you need 4 sources total. All right, I hope that helps you with this lesson. If you have any questions, as always, send me a teacher message.